Hi everybody, welcome to another edition of On Oshkosh. I'm your host, Cheryl Hentz. Very pleased. This is a fun show for me. I know that already because anyone who watches this show or listens to it on a regular basis knows how much I love dogs, how much I volunteer with dogs, and we have a dog here tonight that is absolutely beautiful, and I think she's going to just wow everybody. And we've got her handler as well. So, very pleased to welcome to the show for the first time the Behavior Health Officer for the Oshkosh Police Department. His name is Officer Scott Sopata, and here he is. And we have his dog with him. She is the police department's facility dog. This is a new program that the police department started, I think, earlier this year, but Scott will correct me on that if I'm wrong. But you can see her under the table just a little bit, and we're going to see her in action here very shortly. But she is a 2-year-old Irish Cream Golden Retriever. Her name is Magic. You've possibly seen her around town or heard about things, and we're going to see her do some things tonight. So, and I have to welcome you and commend the police department on, having this foresight, to be proactive in getting her, because she's not a canine dog. She's a canine in the dog sense of the word.
Just not a traditional canine.
Right. She is not a police canine officer. Let's talk a little bit about when she actually started with the department. Was it earlier this year or was it late last year?
So she started with us February 2nd of 22, so 2/2 of 22. It's nice and easy for me to remember. Cool. But our journey with her started in November of last year.
November of last year.
So
okay.
The police department was able to partner with Journey Together, which is a local nonprofit organization whose goal and mission is to train service dogs for individuals with PTSD. Mm-hmm. So Magic was in their program. She was able to be trained, so she's highly trained, but Magic's personality really doesn't fit a service dog's personality. A service dog would only want to support me as the handler and would only want to pay attention to me as a handler, and Magic wants to pay attention and likes to serve other people as well.
Sure.
So for that reason, she wasn't a good service animal, but they were able to I guess re-identify her as a facility dog, and we were able to take advantage of that and train with her.
Sure.
And
do you know where she came from originally? Was she from a breeder around here? Did she come from another state? Because I have had Journey Together on the show a number of times over the years, and I know they get their dogs from a lot of different places.
So she's from Appleton, the Appleton area.
She's real close by.
She's from Appleton, and like I said, she was picked to be part of their program right before COVID happened. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, a lot of things happened right before or right after COVID started. So Appleton, wow, that's interesting. Did she come from a breeder there? Or?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Fantastic. So she's considered a facility dog. Now, one of the things that I get asked a fair amount when I talk about her, and the fact that you guys have been at my church before and for a presentation and that kind of thing. People say, well, how does she differ from, a canine officer dog? And I explain that difference, but is she considered to be a member of the force? For example, if she were to be injured or, God forbid, injured or killed, what is she? We all know that in situations like that, canines usually get a traditional kind of send-off, if you will. What is her position when it comes to something like that?
So we have to take a step back and kind of broaden things a little bit. So all of the canines that are used by the police department, whether it's narcotics use, whether it's apprehension, search and rescue, Magic being a facility dog, so being used in mental health or behavior health, the dogs are owned by the city and are used as a resource for the police department to make things either safer or to increase the quality of the service that we're able to give to our city. So in that way, while Magic isn't a drug sniffing dog or an apprehension dog, she still is a police canine.
Okay.
So she would get the same treatment as any other police canine. The there are certain laws that apply to police canines. She would fall under those specific laws as well. Like you can't harass a police canine or taunt them. That is an official statute within our statute book. So
Sure.
she has all of those qualifications, and she has the same protections that any other dog has. So if she would be injured, she would receive the same high level of care that any other police canine would. If something would happen on duty, the police department would clearly take care of her just like any other dog.
That's wonderful. I'm very glad to hear that because, she should fall into that category, I think. She was down here. I don't think it picked up on microphones, but there's a little bag of treats here next to Scott, and she was over here sniffing the bag, looking at the bag, and kind of moaning and groaning a little bit. And then
I think she snuck one.
I think so too. I don't know how she did that. Maybe it fell on the floor or something, but I heard her munching and I kind of looked down like, what's she chewing on? So now it's interesting. I thought that she was originally, the first facility dog in this city, but it was brought to my attention earlier this week, as a matter of fact, that the Christine Ann Center, the domestic abuse shelter, not too far from here, they actually had the first facility dog in the city, and I was told that they played a role in helping OPD get Magic. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know of their role of helping to get Magic. I do know that their dog is also trained by Journey Together.
Okay.
So that is always, that being able to partner again with a local nonprofit is very beneficial with that. So.
Yeah. So now she was, she was trained by Journey Together, but also by an inmate. Was it just one inmate at Oshkosh Correctional Facility? Or
they have a primary handler at the facility, and then they have also a secondary.
Okay.
So someone where the primary inmate is gone or doing something, that secondary handler comes in and helps with training and everything else, bathing and general hygiene.
Right. And I would assume that that's probably true of all the inmates that work with Journey Together dogs, is that they probably have a backup to the first person. And I think we should probably make the point that you can't just be any kind of inmate and work with these dogs. You have to be of a certain character, and there just have to be certain characteristics about an inmate before they can participate in this program, right?
Right. This is a specialty program for the prison. It's held in high regards, and the inmates have to be in good standing, have to be willing to take care of the dogs, and have to be able to not only work but learn how Journey wants to train the dogs, and then be willing to take care of them too. I know we all look at dogs and we see the good side of them, right? We see when they're friendly and when they want to play and when they're excited and full of energy. But there's also the part of dogs when they're sick and they need a little extra love, and when they are sick in the middle of the night and they're going to the bathroom and throwing up, someone has to pick up after them and take care of them. And those inmates have to be able to tolerate that and be willing to do that as well. So they take wonderful care of the dogs. It's a highly sought out position for them, and the inmates that get that position hold it in high regards. And I can honestly say that when we went in to get trained by the inmates, because I knew nothing about dogs prior to getting Magic. I grew up with a very small dog, so Magic is a big change in my life.
Sure.
I never had to cut nails or bathe or anything. The dog that I grew up had hair. She has fur, so we have to go through the shedding process and the brushing process. They did wonderful teaching me. I knew nothing about it. I was a clean canvas per se,
right.
And they were able to go step by step. Were very patient with me, trying to figure things out, and it was an awesome experience.
Now, you just, I think, taught me something, Scott, because you said, she has fur, not hair. I didn't know that there was a difference. And I've been around dogs all my life, and I volunteer with dogs. That's something new to me. I always just thought that they all have fur.
So some dogs have hair, just like humans, that doesn't shed as much, and they actually need to get cut. They don't actually have a coat. If you would just let it continue to grow, the dog would just get fluffier and fluffier and fluffier. Yeah. So I grew up with it's called a Lhasa Apso. It's a small little dog.
Yep.
They have very similar hair to humans, and it needs to get cut just like humans.
Shih Tzus probably, I think, are of that same. And I know that poodles are, non-allergenic, so they probably have that same kind of situation then.
Could. I'm not aware. But yeah.
That is interesting. So I know that mine shed a lot. And I can vacuum and vacuum and vacuum, and I finish, I put the vacuum cleaner away, and I turn right around, and I'm like, well, now there's more hair. Where'd that come from? Do you find the same kind of thing where she sheds all the time? And a couple times a year, quite a bit?
Yes. I mean, we went from a household with 2 cats that rarely shed to having Magic, and it seems like we're running the vacuum cleaner. We had to buy a Roomba just to keep up with things.
I'm thinking of doing that myself.
And I mean, it's a different lifestyle. So now, instead of cats are pretty self-sufficient, dogs are a little bit more dependent on us as humans. Yeah. And it's been a change for my family, but it's been a good change. It's helped teach my kids some responsibility. She's grown within our family, but more importantly, she's grown within the police department and within this community as well.
Sure.
We're very giving with our time. We want people to come out and meet Magic. We want people to know the police department before they need us in certain situations. And Magic is a very good bridge to that gap. Sometimes, whether it be a past experience or whether it be what you see on the news, your background to things that your parents or your grandparents have told you. Some people don't trust the police, and we just want a fair shot at being able to communicate with you, talk to you, show you that we're humans too. We make mistakes. We're trying our best, and that we really do care about this community. And sometimes it takes a canine like that to just bridge that, just to give us that opportunity to meet people that we wouldn't have otherwise been able to meet.
Yeah. Well, it's so true. And, you guys, I think anyone in law enforcement, really, it's a tough time for you guys because, God, there's so much bad press out there. And I think sometimes it's a little overdone. And I'm happy to see when the media shows the good side of policing as well, because that far outweighs the negative press. And I know there's bad officers out there. There's bad elements of every society, but I don't think that we have to dwell on it. We should be talking about the good things. And if we do more of that, then I think people will have a different attitude toward law enforcement personnel. But getting back to this Journey Together program, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, the current warden out there, and I can't think of what her name is, but I believe that she started this program, and it has it really is a highly acclaimed program that they're running. And so I know that under normal circumstances, the dogs that they train live with these inmates for a period of 2 years. Now, it sounds like, based on the the dates that you gave me, Magic probably wasn't living there for 2 years. How was she trained as opposed to how they normally get trained?
So normally the dogs come in as puppies, and the dogs get put with their handlers, and then the dogs are taken out of the prison with volunteers through Journey Together. The dogs are not trained outside of the prison, so they get to experience shopping centers and going to Walmart and Target, going out to eat, being in a restaurant, having to sit underneath the table for about an hour and not beg or whine for food and listen to their handler. Small things like telephone poles or fire hydrants, that might seem ordinary to you and I can sometimes really scare a dog because they're not used to it. Yeah. Busy streets, cars, honking horns, random sounds of the city, construction vehicles or anything that's loud like that can really scare them. And what Journey wants to do is get them acclimated, get them confident, so when they do experience something that they haven't experienced before, Journey is confident that they're going to be able to stay calm, get over whatever just happened, whatever that stimulus was, and then continue to serve their handler. Okay. And so when Magic was born, though, Magic was born right before COVID hit, right before our pandemic was officially started. Yeah. When the pandemic officially started, the prison wasn't allowing as many people to come in and out, so Magic was placed with more of like I would call it like a foster home through Journey Together, but was with a family inside of a normal residence. And so that family took on the responsibility of training her and still getting her acclimated to everyday life as they normally would. Sure. It was a change for Journey. And as you can tell, and as the people that have met Magic, she does a wonderful job. And that just, again, goes to the high level of training that Journey is able to provide to these canines.
So how long did she actually live then at the prison?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know. When we started training, though, we were into the prison and she was acclimated to her handlers. Okay. So I couldn't tell you exactly how long. Normally they're brought with their forever handler after about 2 years or so, or maybe a little bit longer than that. But we started training with her just under 2 years of age, and then shortly after she turned 2, we were able to.
Sure. And we've got some photos, but the one I want to show in particular is one of Magic when she was probably about 2, maybe 3 months old. There she is. I mean, look at that. Who couldn't fall in love with that face? And, you know, there's something about Goldens and also Lab Retrievers. They just have that forever smile on their face. It's just always there. So that vest fit her perfectly as a little pup. Did she have to get a different vest as she grew bigger?
Absolutely.
I'm assuming so.
The vests are fit to size. So she has a different one, and obviously if they have a bigger breed or a more bulkier breed, they have to just get a different vest.
Sure.
And they do adjust a little bit, but yeah, they had to get that's one for their puppies. So
I cannot help but smile when I look at that picture. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about her duties, what she does do, what a typical work week looks like. Does she work a 40-hour week like you do, or?
She works a 40-hour work week just like I do. She goes home with me at the end of every shift and stays the night over at my house. I'm her handler, so I'm responsible for all the everyday care with her. But normally in the morning or in the afternoon when we get into work, we go to our office. Our office has a traditional baby gate on it. So Magic goes in, the gate closes, and whether it's police officers or some of our civilian staff, if they're having a rough day or they just want to come by and see Magic, Magic can go right up to that baby gate. I have no, fears of her running off down the hall and getting into something that she's not supposed to. She goes right up to the baby gate and socializes with the employees of the police department, which, in my opinion, really helps with just like the personal satisfaction of work. And you have to think that police officers and really everybody, I mean, it's a stressful time right now.
Sure is.
And when you take in the extra stress, not only from everyday life, but now you add this extra stress from a police department. It can be overwhelming. It can be pretty hard. And some people just need that 1 or 2 minutes to hit that reset button and to really get their battery recharged up, which she can provide. Magic also helps us, again, with community-oriented policing. Like I said, we want people to know us before they need us.
Right.
And so we're able to go out to places like the warming shelter, to shelter care, to the drop-in center, human services, city hall, and we're able to meet the public and interact with them in a different way. And again, it might just be a 30-second conversation, but it can really make the difference in somebody's life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we're really proud about doing that, and we're going to be teaming up with the Boys and Girls Club with their new expansion, and hoping to get Magic down there a little bit more to interact with the youth down there to again increase our presence and to have a good positive police officer influence with them.
Sure, and I assume, I mean, they haven't broken ground yet, but when the new warming shelter gets built, I assume she will go with you there and get to meet folks there too. We've got some additional pictures of Magic out in the community doing certain things. Why don't you, can you see them okay, Scott?
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell us, what is going on in each of these pictures.
So that was one of the, I think that's a Girl Scout troop, a local Girl Scout troop that was taking a tour of the police department. I was able to bring Magic in and talk about our behavioral health program, and they obviously wanted to pet her and interact with her, so we were able to, again, do that with them right at the end. So
okay, next photo, here we go.
That looks like Magic visiting one of our local businesses in downtown Oshkosh, and just visiting with people and interacting again.
All right.
Same thing there. Same thing there.
Same women, actually, it looks like. All right. Oh, she didn't have her vest on in that photo, I noticed.
Sometimes we do take it off.
Oh,
so
do you?
So
okay.
we do take it off. I mean, when she has the vest on, she knows that it's work time.
Okay.
So when if she has the vest on for a long time during the day, and I just want her to kind of relax and interact with people, we do try to take it off to make her relax a little bit more.
And this is just a great shot of the two of you.
That's right. Same thing there.
Same thing there, local business.
So this is another different business. They had a fundraiser for our behavioral health program.
I see her name in the background there, too.
That's right, yes. And people were able to go and paint some pottery and other things, and then we're able to meet Magic and have a little one-on-one time with her.
Okay. And you guys again.
There we are. That's, I believe, at Dunkin' Donut. We do a lot of community-oriented policing there, a lot of coffee with the cop, and so Magic's there, and we're, I think, just starting off with that. She's enjoying a pup cup in that picture. And
I can see the barista having, I mean, if we can go back to that picture for just a second, look at the smile on her face as she's giving Magic that pup cup.
That's right.
And she's got her police vest on there. And for people, who would like to know, her vest on one side says Oshkosh Police Department, and on the other side it says that she's a facility dog, and then somewhere on it says, pet me or something like that. So let's go on then, and I don't know how many of these pictures we have, but do we have any others? I'm not sure. Okay, we don't. So, all right, good. There she was again as a pup. And maybe this is not a question that you can answer, but I'll ask it anyway. When they go out to restaurants, do you find most restaurants willing to accept her in, especially in the early days of her training, where she may not be trained precisely, very well disciplined to sit and not beg or, look around wanting to go to other tables and that kind of thing. Do these restaurant owners and managers and staff understand that she's coming in, she's in training, so on and so forth?
So Journey actually works with the with the restaurant owners
Okay.
and the managers to make sure that they're comfortable with their dogs going in. So that's all pre-planned for them. They don't go to a random restaurant or they don't go to another city and just say, we're going to try here.
Sure.
It's all pre-planned out.
Sure. Well, why don't we, I've got lots of other questions, but boy, she is so keenly aware that those treats are right there.
Yes.
Why don't we, show what you and she can do together?
So she does a lot of just normal dog tricks, and it's more about obedience and her being willing to listen to me. So we can do the tricks. I have no issues with any of that. A lot of times though, the tricks correlate because I need her to get into a certain position with someone that might be experiencing a mental health crisis.
Okay.
And so it might just look like I'm having her lay down or lay on her side, but in the real life, a kid or somebody that's having a hard time might be laying on the ground or sitting on the ground, and I'm going to want her to lay down, and I'm going to want her to lean into that person to entice a touch.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So let's see here. Whoa. Yeah, I think she just took a drink of water here. Okay.
Well, if she did it very well because she didn't spill the glass.
Ready? Okay. I think I'm going to have to take this off.
Okay. Yeah, just so folks know, he's taking off his microphone, so hopefully you'll still be able to hear what he's saying.
Okay. Yep. Get closer. Oh, good job. So, service dog's alert. So she has an alert, which is her poking my leg. So
poking your leg?
Poking my leg. So she'll take her nose and she'll forcefully tap my leg, and that would be for her to alert me that, hey, something's going on, and that's how she's trained to do it. So
okay.
We normally, when we're training, we do a pre-training, and I'll have her just touch my hands. So we say touch, 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 and then poke. So she's hitting my leg with her nose, poke, and that would be her alert. Magic front sit. Oh, what do you got, an itch? Front sit. Try it again. Good.
There we go.
Good girl. Ready? Finish it. She should go back to heel. Good. Poke. Good. Ready? Down. All the way. So she's down. And now she's looking. She wants to know what else she's going to have to do here. Magic. Relax. All the way. No. Try it again. Magic. Relax. Down. Relax. Good. Yes.
There. And so something like that would be in a situation where someone is perhaps they've had a seizure, they're on the ground, whatever the case may be, they're on the ground. And
so we would put her down by them so she's on their level, and she entices a connection by touch. So we want her to lean in. We want her to maybe even rest her head on your leg or something to that effect, to let people know that, hey, I'm here. I'm friendly. I want you to touch me. And then once that starts, it generally opens people up a little bit. So they're willing to talk.
And if folks couldn't hear what Scott was saying, he was saying that her job is to kind of be by those people and letting them know that she's friendly, she wants them to pet her, and that will help them in turn relax as well. Now, what would something like that be used for?
Again, it's just more for obedience.
Okay.
So if maybe somebody was laying down on a couch, and Magic's not allowed to be on furniture at home. So that is a big no-no for her. So she generally won't jump up on someone's chair or on someone's furniture. But if someone's laying down, maybe is hiding their head, and I want her to...
she is drinking that water.
And I want her to interact with that person, I'll tell her to put her paws up on the couch. And that tells her that, okay, I'm not allowed to go on here, but I can put my paws on here. and she'll then nudge their arms
Okay.
or their body.
All right.
For that.
What one of the things that I've seen you do a couple of different times, and the viewers might be interested in seeing this. I'm not sure what you actually call it, and I'm not sure in what setting it would be used, but it's when you're seated on a chair and she goes in between your legs and sort of back up under the chair.
So that would be used in a situation where we're maybe in a restaurant.
Well, let's put your microphone back on.
You okay? I don't think she's used to drinking out of a cup. So that would be used in a situation where I'm trying to protect her, trying to protect her tail, and maybe we're talking and I need her to be out of the way. Maybe there's other kids or other people that are walking by. Maybe we're in a restaurant and I want her in with me, but I don't want her to be in the way. So we tell her to come in the front, magic sit, magic back under. So now her tail is underneath the seat, and so her tail is protected. All of her legs are going to be protected, not only by the chair but by my legs. And she'll sit down there and continue to just stay protected while I continue to do my business. I know where she's at. She knows where I'm at, even more importantly. And she'll then just wait for my next command.
I would think as a dog, whether they're trained, in a capacity like she is, or just a regular family pet, I think that is a position that most dogs feel safe in and protected in. I know if I was a dog, I would feel safe in a situation like that. So, is there anything else that you want her to show us tonight?
She can spin and she can roll over and do all normal other dog things, but again, it's more about that obedience and being willing to not only listen to me but to trust me.
Sure.
We've done things like having her stand on the back, we'll flip a laundry basket upside down and we'll have her stand on top of a laundry basket, which is very unsteady, so she's very uneasy on her feet. It takes a lot of trust. And then we'll flip the laundry basket over to make it go the right way, and we'll make her contort her body to fit into the laundry basket. Again, as that trust. That might be very uncomfortable for her, but is she willing to do it for me? Is she willing to listen to me? And is she willing to obey? And that's the most important part, because when we want it to be known to her that even if she's uncomfortable, I'm going to keep her safe.
Sure.
So
what kind of calls would she go out on with you? So you used to be a field training officer with the department. You are now a behavior health officer. Now she's over by Daryl. She's really super soft, besides just being super adorable. What kinds of things does she do when she goes out on calls with you?
So
and does she go on every call that you get?
So now with my new position being a behavior health officer, I'm more in charge of going to mental health related incidents. So whether it's welfare checks, people want to hurt themselves or hurt somebody else. We also go on other high emotional calls. So sexual assaults, child abuse, those types of incidents where emotions are running high, where there might be depression or anxiety that are present in someone that might not suffer from like a chronic mental illness, but their mental health still isn't doing well. And if the people are willing to have magic come out, we bring her out and we talk to them and help calm them down, and we try to make a plan for their safety. So whether that's safety planning with them being at home, maybe with a friend, maybe they go to a different facility, maybe they go to the hospital, or they use one of our local resources within the city.
So she obviously, doesn't go on all calls. Some people might be afraid of a dog, and something maybe deeply rooted from childhood, or maybe they just in general have never really experienced the joy of a dog and the love of a dog, and they're afraid of them. Do you ask before, when you first get that call to go out, do you ask if she can go, or does she go on all the calls with you and you ask and then you'll bring her out of the car at that point?
So yeah, she comes out on all the calls with us, and then we have a car that has a kennel in the back, and when we go on to the calls, my co-responder and I try to de-escalate. And again, she's a resource for us. So if we're not able to de-escalate, or we think that the person just needs a little extra support, we'll ask if they like dogs. We'll describe to them what magic is. Because again, when you tell people, hey, I have a police dog, they're thinking of the German Shepherd. They're thinking of an aggressive dog, where she is the exact opposite of that.
Yes.
So we do our best to explain the type of dog that she is and what she's used for. And if they're comfortable, then we bring her out, let her socialize with the person, and again, offer that support, because sometimes people don't want to talk. People need support, and they just want to be able to self-soothe, and she's able to help in doing that.
Sure. And sometimes they may not want to talk to you, or the person that you sometimes work with. She's not an employee of the police department, but I can't think of her name.
Her name's Kayla. She's
Kayla,
with Winnebago County Crisis.
Yeah. And so sometimes you guys go out on calls together. Sometimes people may not want to talk to a human being, but you know, they'll start opening up with a dog.
Right.
And I think that's one of the reasons that the Read to a Dog program for kids is so wonderful and such a wild success, because people they relax around dogs and they'll talk to dogs.
And dogs are non-judgmental, right?
Very much so.
They offer unconditional love no matter what's going on.
Yeah.
Whether it's the best day of your life or the worst day of your life, the dogs are always going to be by your side. So.
I know. I feel that every day that I come home. And, you know, I may come home and it's just been a horrible day. And my dogs are there to provide love, and you know, it's okay. And within probably 5 or 10 minutes, no matter what the day's been like, I feel pretty calm. Unless one of them's been sick while I've been gone. And then, of course, there's a whole nother set of stressors for me. But once I get that mess cleaned up, thankfully that doesn't happen very often.
Right.
But once that's taken care of, then I can sit down and actually relax. You know, she is, I'm so struck at how beautiful her coloring is, and how soft her fur is, her coat is. How often does she get bathed, get groomed? I noticed her nails, they're very short and trim, like dogs' nails should be. Do you do all this yourself, or?
I wish I could take credit for everything. I don't, though. So she gets groomed once a quarter by a professional groomer, so once every 3 months. And the brushing, though, the teeth brushing, the nail trimming, the bathing, I do all that at home. Okay. So I'm responsible for all of that. She gets bathed about once a month. I try to give her a really good brush once a week, but my son and daughter generally are fighting to be the one that's able to interact with her and brush her. Nails we do about once a week, and we keep them nice and short.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, that way she doesn't accidentally scratch someone, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Plus, it's just, dogs can just walk better when their nails are trimmed to an appropriate length. So you certainly do a good job with that. I am curious how you get them that short, though. Do you use an actual clipper, or do you use one of those grinders?
So I was trained to use both.
Okay. And yeah, I use both too.
I, though, don't use the Dremel. I don't use a grinder. I just use a clipper. And dogs' nails, the quick will, the more
it pulls back.
So the more you cut a dog's nail, and the more frequently you do it, the quick will pull back, so you're able to take more and more nail off if need be. But I've been able to keep on track or on top of it, and I haven't had to really do a lot of major nail removal. It's
Yeah.
just been fine tuning and trimming, and as long as you stay on top of it, it's good.
And it doesn't get out of hand. Yeah, I tend to use the Dremel tool only because I can get them nice and round. Plus, some of my dog's nails are black, and you can't see that quick. And there's nothing like it in the world when you hear them yelp because you've cut a little too close and it starts bleeding, and you just feel god awful about it. And their scream is like nothing you've ever heard before.
And they bleed forever too when it comes to their nails.
Yep. Although the ears are worse, I will say that. Ears, it's really tough to get them to stop bleeding if something happens. But so I tend to. I know that the groomer for the one dog, she does clip them, but I like to round them off, and so. But you're doing a great job with her. How often do you continue to have to train? Because it's not just, okay, you're trained just like an employee. Yeah, you have your training and you can do your job, but there's always something new to learn or something where you need to constantly focus on, honing your craft, if you will. So how often do you have to continue working with her?
So it's part of our unregulated time that we do that at the police department, whether it's doing things like this or going on our community-oriented policing. We have her do her tricks, and we have her listen, and she's very treat-oriented, so she'll do a lot if you have food with you.
Sure.
And we want to keep that motivation up. So we work on a daily basis, whether it's when we're playing that she has to wait and hold in her position and not run after the ball until it's done rolling. If we have to do that, then we work on that. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times for her to listen and to not chase after that ball after I throw it. But it's constant. It's every single day you're working on something, and if something really starts to slip, then you really try to hone in on that maybe a couple of times a day. She works and gets trained really well, though, when it's short, hard trainings. So we train hard, but we only train for a couple of minutes at a time. And if she's able to do it, we're done. We stop.
Like, what can you fit in a couple of minutes?
We can go through all of her training, and we can go through all of her tricks probably within a 3 or 4 minute time period. So if we train hard for 10, 12 minutes, that would be good. That would be good enough for a day. And then when we're playing, again, making her listen, making her obey, that's all part of that training. She doesn't realize it, but she's getting trained at that moment.
Sure, yeah, yeah, absolutely. So have you noticed, well, let me ask this first. Did you just become a behavior health officer when she came on board, or was that something that you had already started in?
So our behavior health officer program started in October of last year, so we're just over a year in.
Okay.
On the first day of my new position, the chief called me into the office and said, "Hey, what do you think about getting a facility dog as a canine partner?" So it wasn't part of the job posting, it wasn't part of anything. I had no motivation to become a behavioral health officer because of the dog. It's just been an available resource made to me. So that's how it kind of came about, and it was a wonderful surprise. And like I said, she's a wonderful resource to have, to be able to use and to be able to share with our community.
Absolutely. So I know that mental health problems, and they may not be true mental illness, but we all have moments where we feel like we're just coming apart at the seams. It's just because, like you said, the world in which we live is just naturally super stressful right now. And I know for myself, there are days when I think, ugh, I can't wait for this day to be over and wake up tomorrow to a new fresh day and a new slate. But those are mental health situations, small as they are. But have you seen the calls for mental health situations increase? I'm sure you have. And do you have some idea of the percentage of how much they've increased in the last year that you've been in this role?
So we have seen the number of mental health calls increase from pre-COVID and from COVID. So COVID was a real unique time because people were isolated, right? People were by themselves and nowhere was open. So when you had a mental health problem, even if you had a mental illness, it was very difficult to see a doctor or to get into a place. Or if you were just having a bad day, you had to figure out how you were going to overcome that on your own. So we weren't getting calls for service at that time because people weren't communicating with others as they do now. They're not seeing people face to face.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but so if you had gotten a call, would you guys not have gone out because of COVID, or how?
Oh, we had special protocol. We were going out on those calls. We were still fully operational, and we still had a service to provide to our city to keep people safe. So.
Okay. So anyway, I interrupted. I'm
sorry.
No,
that's okay. But no, so at that time, calls for service in that went down. Now, though, that everything's opening back up, people are starting to communicate more and see people more. Now, concerned friends, family are now starting to call on their loved ones and their friends and family saying, hey, something's not right. Will you guys just check on her or him? And so we go out and we check. So calls are going up. I don't know about the severity of the calls. I can't discuss or comment on any of that, or even a percentage-wise. I couldn't tell you because the times are different from 2019, 2018 to now.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's hard to remember what was normal back then
and
what is normal now.
Yeah.
So even though it was only 2 or 3 years ago,
I know
it's hard to remember what kind of calls we were going on and how busy we were.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think for myself and for a lot of the people that I've my family, my friends, and just people that I've spoken with in general, it seems like most of 2020 and a good chunk of 2021 are just sort of a blip on the radar screen. Like you said, we can't really remember what it was like pre-COVID. And I don't know, I think we're getting back to normal, but I don't know if things will ever be 100% back to the way they were pre-COVID. And so I can see you're having a lot of job security, sad to say. Not sad for you, but sad for the fact that, there's so many people who need assistance in this way,
The problem was there and the need was there prior to COVID. We've had the opportunity to think, how can we better serve our community? And behavioral health programs were started in larger cities many years ago, and this has now grown. And the chief believed it was time for Oshkosh to develop a program. And we have certain goals that we're trying to meet and develop, and obstacles to overcome just like everyone else, and it's been a really good opportunity for us. And while the need is there, I'm hoping that we're able to at least help people and get people to the resources, because our county is very resource heavy. Sometimes people just don't know what resources are there to help them.
Yeah. I saw a sign just the other day, and I was focusing on traffic, so I didn't really get to read the sign in its entirety, but it's out along Oshkosh Avenue where all that new development is going up. And there was a sign, I believe it was about a 5K run or something like that, and it says, come run with magic, or come meet magic, or what's that all about? What's she doing?
So the Oshkosh Police Department's Health and Wellness Committee has a 5K fundraiser every single year. The 5K actually happened in early September. And this year's theme was Run with Magic. So
they should take that sign down.
Right. So we need to take that. Right. We need to take that sign down now. We might have missed one, but so people were able to sign up, support our officers, and we're able to run a 5K, get some physical health, interact with Magic, meet Magic if they hadn't already, and we opened up the race to dogs this year. So people were able to run with their dogs in the park. So it was a really fun and enjoyable experience. A ton of people showed up. I believe the number was just under 250.
Oh my!
Plus another 20 to 30 dogs. So a lot of people came out to support us. And the Health and Wellness Committee really focuses on officers' mental health, but not only officers, but officers and their families and their kids, because the stress that we bring home, unfortunately, our family sees as well. And they focus on healthy lifestyles. So what are we eating? Are we working out? Are we keeping our physical and our mental health in check? And they give us the tools and the resources to, when we are running into some problems, to help alleviate them and to deal with them.
Absolutely.
So it's an important thing that we have.
Yeah, for sure. There were no interactions, bad interactions with dogs that day?
None.
All right, that's great.
Yeah.
And what park? Menominee?
It was Menominee.
Okay.
Yep. So we did the 5K there. We started near the train station, and I think if you go all the way to the north part of Menominee Drive, right where that turnaround is, and you come back.
Right where it kind of turns into Murdoch, right? Just before that?
A little bit before that, yeah. You go there, and then you come back to the train station. It's right about a 5K. So
wow, I can't even fathom running a 5K, but it sounds.
She pulled me along, so she was ready to go. She loved it. She was just having the time of her life. And I mean, we go on long walks. My wife loves to walk with us and likes to get out and see nature and do everything. And so, I mean, she was having the time of her life.
Sure. When it's the end of the workday and she's home with your family, and the vest comes off, is she just a normal family pet type? I mean, she's never going to be a family pet in the true sense of just being a pet.
Right.
But, she's always going to be a canine dog. But can she just, when she takes the vest off, when she takes it off or you take it off, can she just relax, play, be a dog?
Right. And yes. And we're taking care of her mental health at that point.
Sure.
So we're letting her unwind, relax, play a little bit, get a little maybe aggression or a little anxiety or wildness out, a little energy out, we'll say. And she's able to do that. Now, again, she has specific rules that she has to follow. Like she's not allowed on couches, and she's not allowed to jump on people. So those rules are still enforced. But her ability to, I guess, run around and have the zooms, as people say, where they are going from one side of the house to the other side of the house,
or figure eights in the backyard.
Yes, figure eights and doing. She's able to do it. I mean, she loves. We have a fabric frisbee. It's her favorite toy. I don't know why, but she just loves to have it, and she loves to interact with her ball. She likes to. We play. It's called Grr. She doesn't really growl. She'll bark every once in a while if a dog comes by our house, but she doesn't growl at anybody. And I don't know if that was because she was trained or if that's just her personality. But you get a tug toy with her, and you growl a little bit at her, she gets to growl back at you, and she loves it. And again, it's a thing or an interaction that we're able to have together, and it's bonding between us. So she knows that I have her back, and I know that she has mine.
Sure. So earlier you said she's owned by the city and she's a city resource. Do you know, because I know with like your search and rescue dogs, your drug sniffing dogs, they cost sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, not just to get the dog, but then to have them trained. Do you know offhand how much Magic's training was and what the cost was to obtain her?
So I know she was obtained by donations.
Okay.
I don't know how much her final cost was.
Okay.
So, but she was donated. So the
Okay.
funds to obtain her were all donated, and again, some forward thinking from people that said, "Hey, I think this would be a really good resource to have," and I was just the lucky officer that was able to take control of it.
Yeah. You know, it's, you can't really, I'm imagining, take her to just any place to get groomed, or, you know, I think you mentioned when you spoke at our church that, you know, she goes to a special place to get groomed, and, you know, you would not divulge that, and that's understandable, especially given the tenor of our society these days. But I would assume that along with that, you also don't take her to the dog park, or do you from time to time?
So we don't. So we have to protect her, and we have to protect the other dogs. So nothing bad has ever happened to her, and we want to keep it that way.
Right.
So she's never been hit, she's never been bit, she's never bit anybody, she's never scratched anybody, she's never been scratched. There hasn't been an aggressive interaction, and that helps keep her personality the way that it is. So I'm very protective of that,
Sure,
and I want to ensure that that continues. So we do go to the dog park, but we go to private ones, so she's able to run and interact and do that. But the interacting with other dogs is much more controlled, and very few and far between. We have to really know things about the dog. It's a lot of journey together dogs because she's already met them and knows them. They've been able to do the proper introductions with everything.
And they're all trained similarly, so.
Correct. Yep. So there's expectations that both dogs know, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is what you're supposed to do. And so, again, we want to make sure that her personality stays the way that it is. And that's the unfortunate part of it. Like, she doesn't get to go to the dog park because I think she would do great at it, but I don't want to take a risk.
Right.
And, you know, have somebody interact with her while she's playing, catch, like you said, get scratched or catch a tooth.
Anything.
And get scratched. And I don't want her to have to go through that. So, so we still interact with her. We still give her plenty of exercise, plenty of playtime. It's just in a different controlled way.
Sure, sure. Well, we are quickly running out of time, but I want to thank you, not just for the work that you and everyone at the Oshkosh Police Department does, and the County Sheriff's Department as far as that goes too. Which, by the way, do they have a facility dog or no?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No.
Does she ever go there?
We go to dispatch. So
okay.
we go up to the dispatcher.
Well, that's a stressful position.
Right. So we go up to dispatch, and the dispatchers are able to interact with her and do all of that. We do go, when we're going up to dispatch, we do go by the shift commander's office, and some of the deputies can interact with her. I have no problem with any of that. I don't want to go into a secured area where you know, we don't know who's in there.
Right.
And again, we want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with her before just bringing the dog in. So if someone has an allergy or is deathly afraid of them, they'll turn a good day at work into a bad day, and we don't want that to happen. Just the opposite.
All right. Well, thank you both very much for being here. Also, if you want to make a donation to the Oshkosh Police Department's K-9 unit, you can do that just in the memo section. Just put K-9 unit, and they will get it. So thanks again to both of you and to everyone there for doing what you do. You are so needed, and I think too often underappreciated, so thank you for that. Thanks to my crew, as always, and most of all, I guess thanks to all of you for joining us and spending the last hour with us. We'll see you next time. Until then, take good care. Keep your eye on us. We've got our eye on Oshkosh.